A Happiness Guide 1. Happiness Introduction. What about discovering your true nature, then living by it, by releasing that natural energy inside of you all the time? This is too deep for small-minded materialists who can't see past money and status. Try Thoreau's Walden to see that there is more to life than society's BS. Watch your cat. What does he do to be happy? My cat has a permanent open window. He goes out and runs around when he wants, sleeps, eats, then comes to me looking for love. It's too much for the average brainwashed person. Get a job, make money, then be entertained to mundanity. Find the joy in your life and follow it is a generic cliche that virtually every guru uses, but very few go beyond it to tell you how to do it day by day. Happiness to bohemian artist types is to try to touch transcendence by releasing their natural inspired energy every day with enough intensity to feel like they're freeing themselves from the normal mundane state of consciousness most of us live in all the time. Even though I live as a bohemian artist, I'm not wealthy. Even though I live to feel the intensity of the human experience flowing through my veins, I'm thinking about money too. When I was young, I used to feel lonely if I wasn't paired up in a nice monogamous relationship, but then I explored my sexuality and wrote my love and sex superbooks where I made peace with this crazy sex drive all normal men have that cannot be satisfied by any one woman, no matter how sexy and nympho she is. But beyond that, I made peace with my true identity, which is that I am a loner like every other human being. We all have existential loneliness regardless of how intimate and close we think we are to other people. Even the closest among us are universes apart. My best relationships ever were with maternal and paternal type people where there was no hint of sexuality or ego involved. Relationships with all other people are a roller coaster. You could be close and intimate with your lover right now, then tonight she's like in outer space, totally detached from you, but then she comes around again tomorrow. I simply made peace with God. I said God lives inside of me. I will honor who He created me to be, and that's it. I don't have to feel lonely anymore. Just live by my pact with the great Creator. That's the best anyone can do. Happiness can't be stored. People try to do this everywhere. They amass money. Money by itself will give you financial security, but not happiness. Happiness is a feeling you have to earn every day through what you do. People have kids because they think they will be loyal to them and keep them company when they feel lonely, but most kids will go their own way. Nothing is promised beyond today. Try to release your natural loving, inspired, hedonistic, sensual and practical energy with love for the process every day. That will make you feel pretty good, but if you're not rich, you still constantly have to worry about money. There are books about happiness at number 158 and in the 200s, the religious section, at the library. Chapter 1. The world tries to define happiness. The psychobabble approach to happiness. Happiness to me is releasing most of my natural energy every day, either making money from it or able to afford it. That's it. Natural energy is a combination of inspiration, hedonism, sex, love, and romance. I spend most of my time on two inspired pursuits: physical activity, creative intellectual activities. You can find happiness. Write out what you would do every day if you didn't have to worry about money, then live by it the best way you can. I was looking through the forums of a dating website when I saw one about happiness, so I read through what people defined as happiness, and it confirmed what I already knew, that 95% of the people would give a vague, brainwashed, indoctrinated answer like family, money, or career success. Plenty of miserable people come from loving families. Plenty of people with lots of money and lots of people at the top of their career status ladder aren't happy. Not one person in this forum identified happiness as an internal state of being achieved by earning your self-respect and sense of well-being through what you do in honoring who you were born to be by nature day by day. None of them talked about the euphoria of freeing one's spirit by releasing your natural energy. That's why I know the world is screwed and most people are brainwashed clones. All these dinky little one-liners here are nothing next to the individual who makes a conscious attempt to live true to themselves every day. That's the only way to be happy, Be true to who you were born to be with love for the process. Happiness/life satisfaction according to Psychobabble. Here are the things people, scientists, psychobablists, and gurus say about how to be happy. Find this stuff at number 158 at the library. Accept yourself unconditionally. Love yourself. Accept your current situation. Be positive. Be elevated. Do things that cause warmth and an elevation in feelings. Be adaptable. Everything is temporary except medical disabilities. Be sociable. Be inspired. Be aware of life as lived right now. Don't just plug into TV or a computer game. Be physically active. Be peace. Be positive. Be thankful you're not blind and deaf. Believe in yourself. Choose to be happier. Smile. Continue to learn. Be open to new ideas. Deal with tough times by putting a silver lining on them. Develop a life routine. Do what you like. Do not harshly criticize family and friends. Do what makes you feel good. Don't be a couch potato dreamer. Don't ignore your money or your health. Don't compare yourself to others or envy because it's about your life and you don't have a clue how they really live. I walked into a multi-millionaire's place. I go into his bathroom and there are about 60 bottles of prescription drugs there. I think he's got AIDS or something. Most guys with money feel like they got no game and can't get it up. They destroyed themselves by working so hard to make money. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't confuse material things with happiness. Don't argue. It solves nothing. Don't get angry at people. Keep it in. Don't let your happiness hinge on a job or business. Don't be overprotective of your children. Don't get depressed just because you're old. Don't be materialism. Don't do evil things. Don't buy into world conventions. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Don't have a job. Have a calling. Eat healthy foods. Eat tasty food you like. Eat healthy foods such as fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Eat fish. It contains omega-3 fatty acids. Don't procrastinate. Enjoy your life. Exercise. Experience life. Express yourself. Share your feelings. Find good friends. Find your passion. Focus on hope. Forgive and forget. Get enough sleep. Get organized. Get a massage. Get help with your problems. Give stuff away. Give a gift or give time to do things with loved ones. Have strong religious beliefs. Have a hobby. Have a purpose in life. Have goals. Have realistic expectations. Help people. Help others, do kind acts. Hug someone. It's not about winning and losing thinking. It's about enjoying the experience. Keep a diary/journal. Laugh and have fun. Learn about money, get my money book. Let your true nature guide you. Let other people think what they want. Let go of guilty feelings. Listen to music every day. Dance to it. Live in the moment. Live modestly and frugally. Love animals. Meditate. Meditation can help you release negative thoughts and become happier. Watch a funny movie. Be grateful. Think about the positive things in life. Reconnect with old friends. Relax enough to sleep soundly. Remember where you came from. See the world like Pollyanna. Set goals and work on them. Set impossible goals and you get depressed. Share time with loved ones. Share your life with others. Simplify your life. Don't do the things you really don't need to do. Cancel your BlackBerry account. Sitting in the sun can improve your mood, not only because it gets your body producing vitamin D, which is the sunshine vitamin, but also because there's something about nature. Solve problems with your loved ones. Spend time with your pet. Spend time with your family. Take life easy. Enjoy yourself. Take action on your dreams. Take a walk, preferably out in nature. Television paints a glittery picture of life that is not real. Tell your loved ones that you love them. Think less about the people and things that bother you. Treat every relationship differently. Turn off the TV. Use a computer. Visualize your future success. Volunteer to help people. When you get into an argument, stop, walk away. You always have a choice to do what's good. Happiness ideas from selfdevelopmentsecrets.com/want-to-be-happy. Look at happiness as something you feel when you're active, when you've accomplished something. Think that you're a strong, active person responsible for your happiness. Forget about bad things that happened and could happen. Live in minutes at a time. Feel like a champion. Talk to people. Reconnect with old friends. Do something inspired and interesting day after day. Do something you love. Discover a new passion. Reinvigorate old hobbies and interests. Do a home improvement project. Go outside for fresh air and sunlight. Take a walk. Wake up and early. Music can soothe the soul. Draw something. Learn something. Take a trip. Write. Meet new people. Volunteer to help animals. There are animal shelters everywhere. Clean your house. Exercise. Help people. Go offline. Think your own thoughts. Be alone to think. Smile. I read the entire article. There were a lot of seeming minor things there. The bottom line is be active. The more you sit on your ass doing nothing, the unhappier you feel. The Buddhist Path to Happiness at daringtolivefully.com/buddhist-path-to-happiness. 8 Steps to Happiness. Skillful understanding. Skillful thinking. Skillful speech. Skillful action. Skillful livelihood. Skillful effort. Skillful mindfulness. Skillful concentration. Bring mindful awareness to daily life. Well-being is a sense of serenity and fulfillment. Control over the outer world is limited and illusory. Control your mind. The best way to train the mind is through meditation. Common sense. Careful observation of reality. Choices we make lead to either happiness or unhappiness. Make good choices because we want to be happy. 10 actions which lead to suffering. Killing. Stealing. Sexual misconduct. Lying. Malicious words. Harsh language. Useless talk. Covetousness. Ill will. Wrong view of the nature of reality. Happiness is being at peace in the present moment. Smile. Approach the day with gentleness and understanding. Breathe deeply. Peace and happiness reside inside of you. Stop getting in the way. Chapter 2. Real happiness away from the world's lies. Happiness is the fountain of youth, feeling young and free like a tiger. Real happiness is a feeling of well-being that you have to recreate all the time. Nobody who sits around can feel good. Love is not enough. I love people and pets, so what? They don't live my life for me. I have to be true to myself. I feel good when I release natural energy. That's it. It makes me feel good and gives me self-respect. I can be a rich guy in a mansion. So what? What do material goods, eating like a glutton, doing drugs, alcohol, or any kind of excess have to do with happiness? Nothing. You can't snort your way to happiness with cocaine. Eating all the cheese and ice cream you want makes you feel like a rotten pig. For me personally, having stupid material things I don't need means I violate God's way, which is take what you need and leave the rest. I don't need a marble splashback or a swimming pool with my initials engraved in the bottom of it. My life has been about trying to feel good, vital, and natural all the time. I can't fight aging, but I feel pretty good for a 61-year-old. If you're rich, you can go to one of those doctors at the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, worldhealth.net, and get testosterone injections, but I've seen the effects of steroids many times over. How do you think Lance Armstrong, the fallen superstar, got testicular cancer? I believe that steroids increase the aging process because they're so hard on the body. Working the body too hard causes oxidative stress, which is why many hardcore extreme athletes die relatively young. I heard that one of the Rockefellers got 8 heart transplants and lived to 101. There must be an easier way to live long and enjoy it as you go along. You lose 1% of testosterone a year starting at 30 years old, which means you constantly lose your natural vitality, and there is nothing you can do but keep moving with your modified limited self as best as you can. Your body falls apart regardless of what you do. I've seen a number of my physically fit, health-conscious, non-smoking, non-alcohol using friends get cancer and die. There is no exact science to living a long, healthy life. A part of it is your genes and a part of it is in what you do and how you think most of the time. People get all kinds of illnesses and their bodies wear out as they age, and there is nothing you can do to stop it when your time comes to get sick or injured. Youthful vitality is about releasing your natural energy all the time with intensity and love for the process. The 5 main energies are: inspired, sexual, loving, hedonistic, minor amusement and entertainment, practical, what you have to do to survive and earn a living. Hopefully you find something you love to do that you can earn a living from. If you can't, the key to life is to still to be who you are in your essence by releasing your natural energy all the time to match an inner standard you should feel within yourself of who you are and must be, by creating your life all the time as opposed to being a brainwashed clone wage slave following the artificial values of the world. A great life is much more spiritual aesthetic than materialistic. You need basic material goods and financial security, but beyond that, feeling good all the time comes from running hard with your life, being who you are naturally. Who does that? Almost no one, but a few wise people do. Everybody has the grace of youth. Young people can look good even if they party and stay up late for nights on end, but one big culprit to the loss of youthful looks, physical vitality, and sexual prowess is the natural loss of testosterone for both men and women as you age, approximately 1% a year starting at 30. There is nothing you can about it except eternal vigilance to constant physical activity, mental stimulation, a healthy diet, and the release of sexual energy. These things should be done through the natural beat of your soul/essence and lust for life. Even then, the fat slowly accumulates, the telomeres in the cells shorten as they divide. Everybody ages, gets ugly, wrinkly, and usually fat until they start to deteriorate, then die. People lose a hold of themselves, aka self-betrayal, bit by not honoring themselves until they reach a point of entire loss of self. You can these fat, pale-looking nerdy people at Walmart, at the corner store, or at a fast food joint. Nobody wants to be a fat nerd, yet many are, because the 2 deadly sins of gluttony and sloth. A constant sense of youth is a spiritual, aesthetic, physical state of mind and way of being. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I can't explain it to you. To me, almost everyone is massively brainwashed by the capitalist pop culture religious system we live under. Most people are mundanely happy as consumer spectators with a tub of ice cream watching a big TV, or addicted to something that can't make you happy like material goods, alcohol, drugs, food, etc. If you want to pursue a great lifestyle and look good, you have to constantly move. You have to love the euphoria of hard physical activity and other inspired activities. They put you in a zone a quantum leap above average people. I'm pretty sure the people pursuing a lust for their lives were born that way. It's an inner drive that supersedes everything else in the few people that sense it within themselves. The soul is an essence. I've divided mine into 22 parts. 1. Know your soul. 2. Know your soul by way of pain. 3. Live your soul in your mind. 4. Take regular inspired action via soulful pursuits. 5. Try to reach the transcendent zone. 6. Youthful spark, sexual vitality and inspiration. 7. Define the perfect feeling for yourself, a state of eternal divine inspiration. 8. Seek to earn your keep by mastering a soulful pursuit. 9. People are a constant meld of intimate connections and solitary lives all in one. 10. Cooperation, friendship, and peace are the maturity of the soul. 11. Share your soul with people, pets and all life. 12. Humor, joy, and an easygoing manner keep the soul light, young, strong and free. 13. Find a worthy soulmate equal to share your soul with. 14. Use God as the divine force in your soul. 15. The pursuit of aesthetic beauty nurtures the soul. 16. Live in peace and moderation. 17. Have a harbor for your soul. 18. Pursue knowledge and wisdom to enhance the horizons of your soul. 19. The body is the temple of the soul. 20. Music is the dance of the soul. 21. Nature is the purity of the soul. 22. Pets are a gift to the soul. I'm a heterosexual male. I was hooked on being vital and macho as long as I can remember. I intuitively knew what female beauty was as young as 4. I remember getting aroused looking at softcore magazines back then. I was born in 1959, so around 1965 when the movie 1 Million Years BC came out, I naturally knew that Raquel Welch was a beautiful woman and that Marianne on Gilligan's Island was too. These women were naturally beautiful, unlike the skinny pale models they try to market at us as beautiful. I also knew what a handsome, strong man was as opposed to some office worker nerd. These are primal archetypes. They'll never go away. I was reading Ovid's book The Art of Love from 2000 years ago. He said the same things about attraction or finding lovers in the marketplace that apply today. Be clean. Groom yourself. Clean your teeth. Wear nice clothes. Smell nice. Speak pleasantly. Almost every woman knows what a beautiful looking woman is. As for men, it doesn't matter how many nerd billionaires they put on the cover of Forbes magazine and try to make them the definition of the modern alpha male, it's never gonna fly because everybody intuitively respects a tough-looking handsome guy with an athletic body. Bill Gates can walk down the strip in Las Vegas and not one chick will turn her head to think that's a fine hunk of male stud. He will never have what some people call game, a primal charisma that women are attracted to. Before he passed, Steve Jobs looked like a cross between a muskrat and a beaver. These guys sacrifice a lot of natural soul in exchange for their business lives. I intuitively valued human vitality at a young age. I wanted to be a cool macho man, but I was creative too. I wanted to enjoy the full splendor of life. There are a lot of guys around like me who'll never breathe a word about what they really feel about the aesthetics of life. There is nothing wrong with loving life wherever it is. Vitality within people is simple to me. You look at someone. They not only have the grace of youth such that they look healthy and wholesome, but they have a fresh energy about them, kind of like a spring in their step. The search for eternal youth is the search for eternal beauty. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde is about the joke of being alive as a human being. No matter how beautiful, vibrant, and young you are, you will get old, ugly, wrinkled, tired and maybe fat. It's the same as Solomon lamenting on old age in Ecclesiastes. We live in a society where I see infomercials selling creams at crazy prices touting them as anti-aging formulas. All creams are the same. There is no magic formula for youth. They're trying to make people bionic so they can live longer with nanotechnology and prosthetics. The only way to keep the outer look vibrant is to exercise and eat healthy foods, but there are limits to the body. Your body will age. You can keep the beauty in your soul if you don't let the world harden you, but most people end up seeing so much hate and evil that they harden to the simple beauty of life. All I ask of living is that it doesn't change the simple, innocent, curious kid I was, open to life. Western society is hooked on artificially enhancing natural facial and body beauty, which is fair game. It all goes back to the fallen angels in the Book of Enoch. One of them taught the human race about enhancing the facial look with makeup and jewelry. How much is good before it becomes vanity? There is the self-respect of taking care of yourself to be healthy and wholesome, but beyond that, everything is pretense. You are who you are and that's it. Wise people look at someone and see their essence. Makeup, clothes, and jewelry don't change it. Wise people know when someone is going heavy on the fashion and cosmetics. I look at someone and try to see their life imprint on their face, body, and soul. If there's too much external stuff there, I see right through it. It's so obvious. If someone is trying too hard to be beautiful, even if they're aging, it defeats the purpose because true beauty is natural. If you're aging, accept who you are. That's the way you were created to be. The strong dark male gorilla becomes a silverback, is eventually dethroned and walks off, the fallen champion. It happens to everyone. If you're off-center and out of harmony, cosmetics, cosmetic surgery, expensive clothes, or purses won't help you. You either have beauty or you don't. You can't buy it. Cosmetic surgery not only doesn't help. I think it hurts because most facial cosmetic surgery is obvious. Facelifts all look the same. You can tell when someone bought a fake look. Focus on trying to live a happy life. That will do more for your natural beauty than anything. Happiness comes from action, not from possessions. Society has a built-in hierarchy or class system. In North America, we pretend it doesn't exist, but there is a pecking order based on salary, position at work, the type of work you do, the size of your house, the clothes you wear, the neighborhood you live in, the color of your skin, your religion, etc. In India, up until recently, they had no pretenses about a pecking order of importance. They had their caste system. You're either born an elitist or you're born a pauper, and the people were brainwashed to believe there was nothing they could do about it. This was a very easy way for the elitists to control the masses of poor people there. The elitists, people with money and power who control society behind the scenes, sometimes called the shadow government, think they're superior, but in order to control you, they want you to think that you're a part of some united brotherhood of humanity called society, so that when they manipulate the news and propaganda to tell people to jump one way, most will buy this sheeple effect. An enlightened free spirit is truly free. He doesn't play these games. I look at people and rate them, as we all secretly do, by the sense of freedom, originality, vitality, and inspiration I sense within them, not from some other external symbol like a suit, a Rolex, a car, a uniform, a stereotypical look, the generic middle-aged, moderately successful nerd clone look, etc. It's all a big lie. Enlightenment is to accept reality for what it is and never, ever let any delusions cloud the objective truth of any situation. I was brought up to aspire to be ambitious and competitive to the point of beating everybody else to stand on some pedestal as number one in something. Never mind that this alienates people from one another and makes them go against a friendly, cooperative spirit many of us are naturally born with. Watch any reality show on TV. The devious, backstabbing ones trying to claw their way to the top by any means necessary are the ones who get rewarded. People lose their true selves to the brainwash of the world all the time, then 20 years later, they wonder why they still feel so empty inside. I personally think that most people take this route. They sell their souls for some lie of what is defined as capitalist success. I was taught to chase money, materialism, and status out in the community as the keys to happiness, when the truth is that you don't need much money beyond the basics of comfort. For me to elevate my lifestyle materially from the way I'm living now would have to take enough money to enable me to build my own fantasy world. Since that's not likely to happen, I'm perfectly content with a modest lifestyle, because beyond the few gadgets I own, nothing else in the material realm really does anything for me. I've been there, done that with all that material crap, and at the end of the day, it meant nothing to me. After I got over my cultural indoctrination, I realized I didn't want any material things beyond what I need, and now I can fit pretty well everything I own into one room, which is pretty good considering most people have houses and garages full of useless stuff they don't need. My life is lived in my head and in my body. When I got strong enough to question my upbringing and eventually became enlightened and free, I realized that for me, it's about an intense release of inspired, hedonistic, sensual, activist and loving energy every day, all the time. This is what makes me happy. I could care less about material possessions beyond the basics. I got over the idea a long time ago that what people thought of me, good or bad, had any effect on how I felt within myself, except for the few people that I'm in love with and give a special damn about, but even they can't reach me if they try to interfere with my personal standard of how I should live my life. My self-worth comes from within. When someone either gives me a compliment or puts me down, my reaction is the same. It means nothing. Friends, family, and others give me compliments, say they love me and criticize me all the time, which is a regular part of life if you're living with people or around them much, but you shouldn't get too carried away with what they say. After all, your reality is in your head. My worth, value and happiness are inside of me. I may play along and pretend that I'm flattered if I get a compliment, but I'm not like some people I know whose days are made or trashed by comments from others. Happiness comes from action, not from possessions, what you think other people think of you, status, popularity, or the very fact that they're thinking about you, fame. If you don't believe me, look around. Happy, inspired people are always the ones riding their lives like a surfer rides a wave or a dancer dances. It's the joy of the dance to them, not concerned with where they'll end up, meaning how much crap they'll own beyond what they need for basic comfort or what position they'll have out in the community. Sometimes you do the tango, sometimes you boogie, sometimes you cha-cha, sometimes you rock, sometimes you waltz, sometimes you want to do the twist or the limbo, whatever you feel like in the moment, as long as you keep moving, because this is what life is for happy, inspired people, a constant experience of interesting, intense sensations. It's the motion of the journey, the dance itself that matters, not the final destination. The higher normal state of consciousness that free, creative types live in, as opposed to the generic mundanity of the average brainwashed clone, comes from a conscious process of striving to purge out all your natural energy to a reasonably high level all the time, such that by doing this, you detach from normal consciousness to enter a zone where you feel free and transcendent for a while. I can do this every day, and I do by an act of inspired willpower. This is what keeps someone like me loose and free. I'm constantly riding my natural sense of aesthetics, hedonism, and inspiration. Even when I'm not feeling it on the coldest, dreariest day of the year, I'm strong enough to work through it until I expend some energy, then the groove starts coming back for the day. That's what life is to me, a constant ride of the spirit, or more like a dance. Happiness revisited one more time. It's not about those lists of happiness the psychobablists have come up with, where they list 8 factors or so, and if you supposedly have all of them, you score high in happiness. So what? A score on some clinical test can't measure a transcendent feeling of euphoria. I saw them interview a few of these supposed happy people on a CTV show called W5 about happiness. It was a lie. Fat people can't be happy because they are out of harmony with themselves, regardless of what they claim on the outside. They're putting on an act for the world. None of these people looked like they were riding their lives, expending a lot of inspired aesthetic energy, trying to get some kind of euphoric high in the way they experienced them. It was more like a generic, low-level, clinical definition of happiness, kinda like I have a wife and 2 kids, I got a good job, I go to church, I got some friends, I own a truck, I feel like I'm part of the community, I got a purpose in life, and I got no disease. This is like the limp dick theory of life. It doesn't matter what you own, what your status is, or what you do if you can't get it up enough to have incredible orgasms, because except for recreational substances and an intense, inspired release of energy, the sexual orgasm is a quantum leap above everything else in the sensual experience of life. Where's the life orgasm or the pursuit of it? All the psychobabble in the world created so far has not yet addressed the artist's pursuit of his life to stay above generic mundanity by releasing intense energy in order to feel free and high about his life. A psychobabble definition of happiness is not exactly like hitting a grand slam in the glory and experience of life. The enlightened free spirit's approach is to try to touch nirvana by expending yourself mightily in what you love to do, and when you've blown that load of energy on any given day, you have reached transcendence and will be able to ride out a feeling of happiness for the rest of the day, then do it all over again tomorrow. It's a holistic thing, a meld of respecting yourself enough to try to reach your limits or go hard for what you want to do for the feeling and experience itself. This is what gives me feelings of self-respect, happiness and transcendence, and I round it out by experiencing things from the hedonistic, sensual, and intimate parts of life. Try to create the ideal life for you, not the ideal life the system has designed for you. This is the true spirit of the free human soul, the spirit of this book. Some people try to put me down as being too individualistic because I don't fit into any predictable category or can't be controlled and managed by the reward system of the world, money, recognition, status. I've been called an arrogant, self-centered bohemian/hippie/artist/narcissist. I suppose this is how some people see me, but I don't live to meet their standards. I live to find pure, unadulterated truth in my life, then experience it unpolluted by the world around me. Ultimately, all that really matters to people like me is the nobility within to live for the only truth that matters, the truth within our souls, what we intuitively feel without letting the outside world pollute us. If I were to die tonight, I'd feel that my time here so far was fulfilled, that I got out of my system whatever it was I was born with that was natural within me that I had to expunge somehow in order to give me worth. I did it by living my life freely with a bent for exploration throughout my 20s and 30s. Then when I sat down to contemplate it, I finally understood who I was by writing this book, my love book, and those other books I've written. Some of this book may read like a paradox with me contradicting myself several times over. I'm only human, a bundle of contradictions like everybody else, but my message is clear. It takes guts to find your own standard as a human being based on what you feel is the pure essence in your soul, away from everything you've ever been indoctrinated by. But people like me who are strong enough to get over cultural indoctrination and live like this have the satisfaction of knowing that they are doing what they ought to be doing with their lives the way they feel it, while everybody else is questioning themselves on some level because they're following the game of the world rather than following their own true essences as human beings, often without even realizing that this is what they're doing. They think they're free, but they've been so massively indoctrinated that they don't know where they start and the influences of the world end. I see them everywhere. I can often figure out what delusion anyone is following or what they've been brainwashed by simply by talking to them for a few minutes, and most people are brainwashed by something. Check out Eugene Onal's play The Iceman Cometh. Chapter 3. Happiness One-Liners. Happiness Quotes 1. A smile is a curve that sets everything straight. A sure way to lose happiness, I found, is to want it at the expense of everything else. Bette Davis. A good cigar, a good meal, a good cigar, and a good woman or a bad woman, it depends on how much happiness you can handle. George Burns. A table, a chair, a bowl of fruit, and a violin, what else does a man need to be happy? Albert Einstein. A happy life must be to a great extent a quiet life, for it is only in an atmosphere of quiet that true joy dare live. Bertrand Russell. A large income is the best recipe for happiness I ever heard of. Jane Austen. Achievement of your happiness is your purpose in life. Action may not always bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action. Benjamin Disraeli. All who joy would win must share it. Happiness was born a twin. Lord Byron. All happiness or unhappiness solely depends upon the quality of the object to which we are attached by love. Baruch Spinoza. Always leave something to wish for, otherwise you will be miserable from your very happiness. Baltasar Gracian. An effort made for the happiness of others lifts us above ourselves. Lydia M. Child. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Seneca. Anything you're good at contributes to happiness. Bertrand Russell. Be happy while you're living, for you're a long time dead. Scottish proverb. Celebrate the happiness that friends are always giving, make every day a holiday and celebrate just living. Amanda Bradley. Condition, circumstance, is not the thing. Bliss is the same in subject or in king. Alexander Pope. Contentment is a pearl of great price, and whoever procures it at the expense of 10,000 desires makes a wise and a happy purchase. John Ball Guy. Desire nothing, give up all desires and be happy. Swami Sivananda. Do not speak of your happiness to one less fortunate than yourself. Plutarch. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. It is far better to take things as they come with patience and equanimity. Carl Gustav Jung. Every gift from a friend is a wish for your happiness. Richard Bach. Everyone chases after happiness, not noticing that happiness is right at their heels. Bertolt Brecht. Everything has its wonders, even darkness and silence, and I learn, whatever state I may be in, therein to be content. Helen Keller. Great efforts from great motives is the best definition of a happy life. William Ellery Channing. Happiness is no vague dream, of that you now feel certain. George Sand. Happiness is a direction, not a place. Sidney J. Harris. Happiness is like a kiss. You must share it to enjoy it. Bernard Meltzer. Happiness is in giving and in serving others. Happiness is like those palaces in fairy tales whose gates are guarded by dragons, we must fight in order to conquer it. Alexander Dumas. Happiness, an agreeable sensation arising from contemplating the misery of another. Ambrose Bierce. Happiness quotes 2. Happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. George Burns. Happiness is having a scratch for every itch. Ogden Nash. Happiness lies in the joy of achievement and the thrill of creative effort. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Happiness is an inside job. William Arthur Ward. Happiness is not a matter of intensity but of balance, order, rhythm, and harmony. Thomas Merton. Happiness often sneaks in through a door you didn't know you left open. John Barrymore. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Dalai Lama. Be happy with what you have and are, be generous with both and you won't have to hunt for happiness. William E. Gladstone. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. Abraham Lincoln. I am determined to be cheerful and happy in whatever situation I may find myself. For I have learned that the greater part of our misery or unhappiness is determined not by our circumstance but by our disposition. Martha Washington. Happiness is like jam. You can't spread even a little without getting some on yourself. Happiness exists on earth and it is won through prudent exercise of reason, knowledge of the harmony of the universe and constant practice of generosity. Jose Marti. Happiness in intelligent people is the rarest thing I know. Ernest Hemingway. Happiness is that state of consciousness which proceeds from the achievement of one's values. Ayn Rand. Happiness depends upon ourselves. Aristotle. Happiness is the only good. The time to be happy is now. The place to be happy is here. The way to be happy is to make others so. Robert Greene Ingersoll. Happiness does not lie in happiness, but in the achievement of it. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Happiness is found in doing, not merely possessing. Napoleon Hill. Happiness is brief. It will not stay. God batters at its sails. Euripides. Happiness is mostly a byproduct of doing what makes us feel fulfilled. Benjamin Spock. Happiness is not a goal, it is a byproduct. Eleanor Roosevelt. Happiness isn't something you experience, it's something you remember. Oscar Levant. Happiness is spiritual, born of truth and love. It is unselfish, therefore it cannot exist alone, but requires all mankind to share it. Mary Baker Eddy. Happiness doesn't depend on any external conditions, it is governed by our mental attitude. Dale Carnegie. Happiness is nothing more than good health and a bad memory. Albert Schweitzer. Happiness is that state of consciousness which proceeds from the achievement of one's values. Ayn Rand. Happiness consists not in having much, but in wanting no more than you have. Lydia Maria Child. Happiness comes only when we push our brains and hearts to the farthest reaches of which we are capable. Leo Rawson. Happiness is a virtue, not its reward. Baruch Spinoza. Happiness is ideal, it is the work of the imagination. Marquis de Sade. Happiness is neither without us nor within us. It is in God, both without us and within us. Blaise Pascal. Happiness is a continuation of happenings which are not resisted. Deepak Chopra. Happiness is a man is willing to be what he is. Desiderius Erasmus. Happiness is dependent on self-discipline. Happiness is itself a kind of gratitude. Joseph Wood Crutch. Happiness grows at our own firesides and is not to be picked in strangers' gardens. Douglas William Gerald. Happiness depends more on how life strikes you than on what happens. Andy Rooney. Happiness is when what you think, what you say and what you do are in harmony. Mahatma Gandhi. Be happy for this moment. This moment is your life. Omar Khayyam. Some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. Oscar Wilde. Happy he who learns to bear what he cannot change. Friedrich Schiller. Happy is the man who has broken the chains which hurt the mind and has given up worrying once and for all. Ovid. Happy is he who still loves something he loved in the nursery, he has not been broken in two by time, he is not two men, but one, and he has saved not only his soul but his life. Gilbert K. Chesterton. If you aren't happy in one place, chances are you won't be happy anyplace. Ernie Banks. If you want to be happy, be. Leo Tolstoy. If you wait for the perfect moment when all is safe and assured, it may never arrive. If you hope for happiness in the world, hope for it from God and not from the world. David Brainerd. If you're happy, don't act too happy around unhappy people because you're disrespecting them. Show empathy and reserve. If your happiness depends on what somebody else does, you have a problem. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Dalai Lama. In times of joy, all of us wished we possessed a tail we could wag. W.H. Auden. In order to have great happiness you have to have great pain and unhappiness, otherwise how would you know when you're happy? Leslie Caron. It is not easy to find happiness in ourselves and it is not possible to find it elsewhere. Agnes Repplier. It is not how much we have, but how much we enjoy, that makes happiness. Charles Spurgeon. It is neither wealth nor splendor, but tranquility and occupation which give you happiness. Thomas Jefferson. Happiness quotes 3. It is not God's will merely that we should be happy, but that we should make ourselves happy. Immanuel Kant. It is not great, but little good haps that make up happiness. J. Paul F. Richter. It's enough to indulge and to be selfish, but true happiness is really when you start giving back. Adrian Grenier. Joy is a net of love by which you can catch souls. Mother Teresa. Laughter is the shortest distance between two people. Borga, Victor. Let us be grateful to people who make us happy, they are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. Marcel Proust. Love is when you want someone to be happy. Love is trembling happiness. Khalil Gibran. Lovers who love truly do not write down their happiness. Anatole France. Money can't buy happiness, but it can make you awfully comfortable while you're being miserable. Claire Booth Luce. Mountains will not be climbed, races won, or lasting happiness achieved. Maurice Chevalier. Never mind your happiness, do your duty. Peter Drucker. Nobody really cares if you're miserable, so you might as well be happy. Cynthia Nelms. Nothing brings me more happiness than trying to help the most vulnerable people in society. It is a goal and an essential part of my life, a kind of destiny. Whoever is in distress can call on me. I will come running wherever they are. Princess Diana. Nothing prevents happiness like the memory of happiness. André Gide. Now and then it's good to pause in our pursuit of happiness and just be happy. Guillaume Apollinaire. Oh, be he king or peasant, he is happiest who in his home finds peace. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. One is happy as a result of one's own efforts, once one knows the necessary ingredients of happiness, simple tastes, a certain degree of courage, self-denial to a point, love of work and above all, a clear conscience. One of the keys to happiness is a bad memory. Rita Mae Brown. Our greatest happiness does not depend on the condition of life in which chance has placed us, but is always the result of a good conscience, good health, occupation, and freedom in all just pursuits. Thomas Jefferson. Our happiness depends on wisdom all the way. Sophocles. Happiness quotes 4. People let their own hang-ups become the obstacles between them and personal happiness. Lucinda Williams. Plenty of people miss their share of happiness, not because they never found it, but because they didn't stop to enjoy it. William Feather. Real happiness is not dependent on external things. William Leon Phelps. Research has shown that the best way to be happy is to make each day happy. Deepak Chopra. That period of time in which our affairs prosper, our friends are true and our happiness is assured. Ambrose Bierce. But what is happiness except the simple harmony between a man and the life he leads? Albert Camus. True happiness is not attained through self-gratification, but through fidelity to a worthy purpose. Helen Keller. The secret of happiness is to admire without desiring. Carl Sandburg. The art of being happy lies in the power of extracting happiness from common things. Henry Ward Beecher. The greatest of follies is to sacrifice health for any other kind of happiness. Arthur Schopenhauer. The secret of happiness is something to do. John Burroughs. The grand essentials to happiness in this life are something to do, something to love and something to hope for. Joseph Addison. The happiness of a man in this life does not consist in the absence but in the mastery of his passions. Alfred Lord Tennyson. The summit of happiness is reached when a person is ready to be what he is. Erasmus. The person born with a talent they are meant to use will find their greatest happiness in using it. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. The happiness of life is made up of minute fractions, the little, soon forgotten charities of a kiss or smile, a kind look or heartfelt compliment. Samuel Taylor Coleridge. The two enemies of human happiness are pain and boredom. Arthur Schopenhauer. The first recipe for happiness is, avoid too lengthy meditation on the past. André Maurois. Don't wait around for other people to be happy for you. Any happiness you get you've got to make yourself. Alice Walker. The happiness of most people is not ruined by great catastrophes or fatal errors, but by the repetition of slowly destructive little things. Ernest Dimnett. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, therefore, guard accordingly, and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature. Marcus Aurelius. The moments of happiness we enjoy take us by surprise. It is not that we seize them, but that they seize us. Ashley Montague. The happiest people are not those getting more, but those giving more. The purpose of our lives is to be happy. The 14th Dalai Lama. The greatest happiness that you can have is knowing that you do not necessarily require happiness. William Saroyan. The world is so full of a number of things, I'm sure we should all be as happy as kings. A Child's Garden of Verses. There is only one happiness in this life, to love and be loved. George Sand. The Constitution only gives people the right to pursue happiness. You have to catch it yourself. Benjamin Franklin. Happiness quotes 5. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Epictetus. There is something curiously boring about somebody else's happiness. Aldous Huxley. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Epictetus. To be secure, be humble. To be happy, be content. James Hurdis. To be stupid, selfish, and have good health are 3 requirements for happiness, though if stupidity is lacking, all is lost. Gustave Flaubert. To be without some of the things you want is an indispensable part of happiness. Bertrand Russell. Happiness makes up in height for what it lacks in length. Robert Frost. To forget oneself is to be happy. Robert Louis Stevenson. To describe happiness is to diminish it. Stendhal. True happiness consists not in the multitude of friends, but in the worth and choice. Ben Jonson. True happiness comes from the joy of deeds well done, the zest of creating things new. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Happiness cannot be owned or consumed. It is a spiritual experience of living every minute fully. Very little is needed to make a happy life, it is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Marcus Aurelius. We are the biggest obstacles to our own happiness. It is much easier to do battle with society and with others than to fight our own nature. Dennis Prager. We are never so happy, nor so unhappy, as we suppose ourselves to be. François de la Rochefoucauld. What we call the secret of happiness is no more a secret than our willingness to choose life. Leo Buscaglia. When what we are is what we want to be, that's happiness. Malcolm Forbes. Wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. Confucius. You can be happy by releasing your natural energy. You must try to generate happiness within yourself. Your successes and happiness are forgiven you only if you generously consent to share them. Albert Camus. Happiness one-liners. Happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, or worn. It is the spiritual experience of living every minute with love, grace, and gratitude. Dennis Waitley. Happiness, like unhappiness, is a choice. Stephen Covey. Happiness is an attitude. We either make ourselves miserable, or happy and strong. The amount of work is the same. Francesca Rigler. Happiness often sneaks in through a door you didn't know you left open. John Barrymore. Expect a happy outcome for your life. Anhedonia is a psychological condition where people feel good feeling miserable rather than seeking true pleasure. Ask yourself whether you are happy and you cease to be so. John Stuart Mill. Bad things are learning experiences. Be happy for what you have, not sad for what you don't have. Be bold, not scared. Chase excitement and you'll find happiness. Do what matters to you. It is your true nature. Get over cultural brainwash to be who you are. Don't hang around with miserable people. Don't judge others. It wastes your time and makes you seem arrogant. Don't watch the mainstream news. It's all negative stuff marketing materialism at you. Don't dwell on anything. Keep creating your life. Don't put yourself down. Think you're great. Prove it to yourself by doing tough things every day. Don't bother trying to get respect from other people. Who cares about what they might think of you? Earn self-respect. Don't gamble your future on stocks or a pipe dream that could leave you homeless. Exercise. Feeling happy comes partially from sharing ourselves with others and developing a comfortable bond with them. Find happiness in whatever you get. Give the benefit of the doubt to others. Grace for yourself helps keep you calm and everything in proportion so you don't beat yourself up thinking you're a loser when you mess up. Happiness is when what you think, say, and do are in harmony. Happiness doesn't depend primarily on being in a couple. Happiness is created by the person. Happiness is simplicity in living a pure life sincere to your true nature. Happiness is letting go of unhappiness. Happiness is releasing the goodness of light that lives inside of you. Happiness is to bring happiness to others. Happiness is how willing you are to make ordinary life transcendent. Happiness is enjoying life right now, not psychoanalyzing it. Heaven is inside of you. Living it out is happiness. Help others. It is not how much we have but how much we enjoy that makes happiness. It may not be easy to find happiness in ourselves, but we won't find it elsewhere. It never took much to make me happy, and it takes even less now. Blind guy who got his sight back. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Acts 20:35. Know your health. Avoid generational competition. Never give up. Share what you know. Discuss your worries, don't dwell on them. Forgive. Eat for nutrition. Laugh. Exercise. Cultivate friendships. Listen to your favorite music. Use a computer. Share. Have spiritual beliefs. Seek meaning. Regrets hold us back. See your goals. Never stop learning. Be optimistic. Listen to music. Listen attentively to loved ones. Longing for something can only make you sad. Living the best right now with what you got is really all you got. Mind your health. Much happiness is lost in the pursuit of it. Ops, the Roman god of abundance, is the forerunner of the word optimism, which means optimism will eventually get you abundance in your life. Pay attention to your life. Don't compare yourself to others. Peace, harmony, simple and few material possessions. Put yourself into someone else's shoes from time to time. Read interesting articles and books. Seek to do your best with what life brings you. Self-denial is one of the biggest causes of unhappiness. Stay active and inspired every day. Take responsibility for your own actions. The only truly happy people are children and the creative minority. Gene Caldwell. The happy man is he who does not lose his child's heart. The secret to happiness is to take a genuine interest in all the details of your daily life. The key to happiness is to give it away. There is no fool who is happy and no wise man who is not. Cicero, Roman statesman. There is no greater calamity than lavish desires. There is no greater guilt than discontentment. And there is no greater disaster than greed. Lao Tzu. Think creatively. True beauty comes from happiness. Happiness comes from being a light within yourself and passing it on. Try something new. See the beauty around you. Have fun. Try to be loving. Turn off bad news. Express yourself. Keep your fears in check. Believe. We forget so many things that seemed so urgent when they were happening. This should put you in the proper perspective. Be here now. We are unlikely to find lasting happiness through people or things outside ourselves. Figure out how to earn self-respect and well-being. What can you do to love yourself? When you realize that what you will be doing next year and the year after that will be the same things you're doing today that keep you inspired and happy, you will know you're you. When you mess up, go to sleep and carry on tomorrow as though nothing happened. When things go wrong, blame yourself, not others. Why are we so ambitious? Is it for money, status, or do we enjoy what we do? Being busy, useful, and productive runs many lives. Taken excessively, this sucks. Where is joy? Worrying about bad future events is a waste. Most won't happen. You can only live happily ever after moment by moment, therefore no one is guaranteed happiness forever unless they're wise enough to create it for themselves all the time. Your doubts will destroy your happiness. You must banish them. The richest man is the one whose pleasures don't cost much. Value each day and you win the game of life. Happiness is generally self-serving, but when you're happy, you're usually a more generous, loving person. Don't worry, be happy. Bobby McFerrin. You are as strong as your weakest point. There should never be a tough decision in your life. It is always about following your true nature. We're as happy as we give ourselves permission to be. Think you're happy and you will be happy. Chapter 4. Happiness Essays. Happiness 1. How to be happy. Are you almost disgusted with life, little man? I'll tell you a wonderful trick that will bring you contentment, if anything can. Do something for somebody, quick. Are you awfully tired with play, little girl? Wearied, discouraged, and sick? I'll tell you the loveliest game in the world. Do something for somebody, quick. Though it rains, like the rain of the flood, little man, and the clouds are forbidding and thick, you can make the sun shine in your soul, little man. Do something for somebody, quick. Though the stars are like brass overhead, little girl, and the walks like a well-heated brick, and our earthly affairs in a terrible whirl. Do something for somebody, quick. Anonymous. The golden rule of happiness is to be happy and satisfied with who you are and what you got this minute and every other minute of your life. If you go back to the story of Pollyanna by Eleanor H. Porter, 1913, which is portrayed as a children's story which most people haven't read but accept as part of the cultural tapestry, much like Anne of Green Gables or Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, about a nice young girl coming of age in a naive fantasy Pleasantville world. But after having read Pollyanna recently in my role as a literacy tutor, I realized how much wisdom there was in this book written a century or so ago. It's about this young girl whose mother then father dies. She goes to live at the Ladies' Aid charity, then is adopted by a stern aunt, her father's sister, out of duty, not because she wants to, whereupon Pollyanna befriends the housekeeper Nancy, who asks her why she's so cheerful even though she has lived such a hard life, with her aunt being cold with her on their first meeting, putting her in the little bare attic room to be as far away from her as possible. Pollyanna tells her about a game her father, a minister before his death, taught her to play as a young girl, to be cheerful no matter what, to make lemonade out of lemons, so to speak. She tells Nancy that one time when she was little and wanted a doll, they went to the Ladies' Aid charity and all there was a set of children's crutches, so her father told her to be thankful that she didn't need them. It's a pretty good story because it reinforces the fact that you have only two choices in life, to either be optimistic or pessimistic. Too many people get down in the dumps about their problems and stop living for joy, when the bottom line is that you should make a conscious effort to live for joy no matter what problems there are in your life. The winners of life are happy as is without needing a special event to uplift their emotions. You don't need a reason to be happy. It's a way of life, who you are all the time, happy because you got all your toes and fingers and live in an affluent country with the freedom to do what you want. When you're happy like this for no special reason, many of the small, miserable minds out there will be jealous and try to put you down, so be forewarned now and ignore these types of people. Don't take life too seriously. Lighten up, enjoy the ride. Right now, you have everything you need to be happy just by sitting there being free and inspired with your soul, but you had to buy into the world program and feel bad because you're not driving a Jag, you're not a movie star, you're not rich, you don't have a beautiful, glamorous trophy wife, you're not like those people portrayed on the celebrity gossip shows, etc. The greatest thing that keeps people from being happy is their constant thoughts about what they don't have and their attempts to get it, not realizing life will always be that journey you're traveling, and all those little things that are always happening to you are just noise next to the real journey of the soul. Relax, live for inspiration and pleasure and forget the rest. You will never have the perfect life because things will always happen, and anyway, you will always have the eternal struggle of keeping yourself inspired and youthful, which never ends, because as you age, it becomes very easy to get lazy and give up on some of your bouncy spirit. Happiness is not a life of perfect bliss, it's moments of perfect bliss interspersed with periods of sweat, effort, and joy that leave you inspired. So happiness is really hard work, albeit hard work with joy for the process, not the image the capitalist system puts out about luxurious, decadent ease on a cruise ship in the tropics somewhere, because even though that might feel good for a little while, ultimately, it's boring, unchallenging, makes you soft, and is not realistic unless you're rich. money-wise, which very few of us are such that we can avoid the practical realities of life, which is why I live in the middle of inspiration through effort and pleasure through hedonism cycles, because that's what a great life is, a fine balance between these two extremes of working hard at what you love to do to earn your cash and relishing in your life as is when you feel like it without feeling deprived because you don't have all the toys of capitalism. When a storm hits, have the sense not to stay out in it but go to a safe harbor and forget about it completely while you rest in peace. So many people feed their negative energy while in a storm by staying there getting all worried, anxious and angry when you should really get away from it and do only what makes you inspired, gives you pleasure and relaxes you. Then after you do these things, whatever caused your storm will somehow feel a lot less potent than it did a few hours ago. A lot of people worry and make mountains out of molehills out of something either from the past or the future. Nothing matters but right now. When you deal with the present as best as you can, most of your anxieties about the future will not come to pass. It's like Michelangelo said, who is happy? He who is happy with what he has. Happiness is feeling at home in your own skin. It's living in the moment in a simple, calm, gentle manner with the courage to live your life as you feel it should be lived. Happiness is to trust yourself, accept others as they are and trust a few of them as worthy, honorable human beings. Happiness is a celebration of who you really are, living a life being your real self, enjoying yourself, which you're entitled to by birthright without all that guilt and obligation your society tries to indoctrinate you with. Your most happiness comes when you're inspired about something from your soul and pursuing it fervently with enthusiasm. The highest calling in life is to share your happiness with society in a natural way that fits for you. The purpose of life is happiness, yet many people are afraid of it and choose to plug into the media, which is generally serious and sad or frivolous and stupid, which is why I minimize these things in my life, because I consciously want to be happy all the time and have no guilt about it, nor do I tap into the negativity of the world with all the negative stuff on TV. Happiness breeds more happiness, unhappiness breeds more unhappiness. It's having a mind to be happy as is no matter what is happening around you, good or bad. Life is meant to be enjoyed, not be lived with sterile order and a routine plan. Thinking about life is the attitude with which you choose to travel. You have you as is, a neutral being, and you have the thoughts you fill yourself up with, which can be either good or bad, so it's always up to you regardless of outside circumstance. You can get angry due to negative circumstances, but you must learn to quell the anger and still be happy, thankful, and calm on the inside regardless of what bad luck may have befallen you. Happiness is a state of mind that has very little to do with anything else, especially material things, unless you make it so. When someone angers you or treats you unjustly, keep your mouth shut, resolve it in your mind, forgive them silently in your mind without uttering a single word, forget about it as quickly as possible and move on. You must forgive and forget all the crap and injustice that happens all the time around you, to you and to others. Happiness too. Children come into the world joyful. What happens? Matthew Fox, ex-priest, founder of Creation Spirituality University. I believe that all of us get treated unjustly by people all the time because there's so much angst around, with people frustrated, stressed out and angry, then they crap on someone else and the chain keeps going around. So play it cool when somebody craps on you. Don't take it personally. Ignore them and keep moving. It's not mistakes and failure that hurt you, it's dwelling on them. Self-criticism is useless. You should think you're beautiful, glorious, and worthwhile all the time. It's the only way to be happy, to have a Teflon mind where everything negative slips off it away into the ether to be gone forevermore, not to bother you, which is to be happy all the time. As long as you concern yourself greatly with how others live their lives and what they might think about you living your life, you will be too trivial to be happy. You must be question-less, judgment-less, worry-less, and anxiety-less, not too engrossed in the problems of the world and people around you. Just accept life as is and make a conscious effort to live as great a life for yourself as you can every day. You're not being selfish, you're being true to yourself, and the only way you can be a great worthy person for the world is if you're first true to yourself and follow what you intuitively feel inside. Think of the present only. Forget the past and don't bother with the future much because it's just a fantasy at this point in time. There should be no confusion in your life, only a simple focus on the two things that matter. What do I do to keep myself inspired and earn my keep? How I interact with my close little circle of loved ones. That's really it, to simplify life down into these two things only. A life that's going all over the place is really going nowhere. A person trying to please everybody is destroying themselves. A person running around trying to fill themselves up, making the scene everywhere, trying to experience everything there is out there is really a lost soul, as I was when I was in my early 20s, but that was my part of my enlightenment process as a lost soul at that time. I was looking at other people, places, and things to seek out what I was looking for, which I didn't know at the time, which was a sense of peace and happiness within myself, and I didn't find it until I realized that all that stuff out there is fine for a mild diversion, but that's all it is. I'm happy and complete within my soul as is. That's what runs my life, not that stuff out in the world they try to brainwash me with so that I can be another lost, working stiff, consumer clone buying into the system's version of happiness by watching football games, hanging out at the sports bar, going to hyped up crappy movies, playing video games, or any of that other stuff that has been defined as cool by corporate forces, which I see as a bunch of brainwashing crap. I don't need that crap for my happiness. Whenever I meet someone for the first time, I subtly check them out to see how much pop culture stuff they have versus how much they own their lives away from these things. To me, the one without the CD collection of the latest manufactured pop stars or the big video game PlayStation is the more enlightened one, who I automatically like more. Greatly simplify your life and do only the things you really want to do. Take less phone calls, quit any useless organizations you belong to, don't read the newspaper more than once a week, go to the supermarket only once every 2 weeks instead of every week, watch less stupid TV shows, work less. In essence, take a pay cut if you have to, get rid of a lot of your material possessions, buy a smaller house if you want in order to cut down on responsibilities, and live a simpler life in order to have more time to live the way you really want to live, which means being free, creative, spontaneous, and relaxed as much as you can. Live by instinct. All you really own is a finite block of time. Goals from the world are just an agenda your ego brainwashed you into thinking you must do in order to be successful, but following your soul is the true path of a successful life. When you have goals, you're always barging ahead towards capitalist success no matter what. When you live by soul, you're always happy with the process of your life and can be calm and relaxed without feeling anxious that you're missing out on your destiny because you feel you're living out your journey as you go along. Take care of your body and accept it as is. The body is useful to the extent that if it's healthy, it won't interfere with your mind and make you feel vital, but beyond that, the body itself is not the instrument of happiness. No matter how healthy or sickly you are, you still have the consciousness that is your soul. That's where the battle of life is fought, to have a spiritual essence that is always inspired, calm and optimistic no matter what. You will get old and your body will wither, but your consciousness will still have to be cultured all the time in order to stay happy. Unhappiness comes from the fear of making a mistake rather than taking a step forward in your journey. Happiness is the acceptance of our mortal status, that we will age and eventually die. Happiness is having no expectations nor prejudgments about anything. It's to get past your ego and strive for peace and unity with others in every situation you might ever come across. Try to enjoy relationships with other people, at least while you're with them if you have to be, like through your work. Some people are loners, which is fine, but don't purposely try to antagonize other people. Be friendly or silent and neutral rather than being right. Most people have fragile egos. It's better to play along with them, be gentle and try for genuine human connections rather than trying to upstage them with your ego. Life is really not that complicated. Focus on pleasing yourself and your family in your little neck of the woods, and everything else should be secondary to this. If you feel your purpose is to save the world, do it, but if you're a self-centered person who wants to sit in your yard, drink wine, and carve wooden statues, that's fine. Whichever path you choose, You can't be happy unless you do what you truly feel in your soul, whatever it might be, regardless of whether it helps a million other souls or no one but you. Happiness 3. Joy is the human's most noble act. Saint Thomas Aquinas. How might we find happiness in a world which often seems set up precisely to prevent it? What do you want, purely personal happiness or happiness for everyone? Some people called saints get significant satisfaction from alleviating the suffering of others. There are many hybrid people with money and luxury who spend some time helping others, but they can never be happy because all they see is more sadness and need. Finally, there are greedy, selfish people. Many of the pleasure things for sale, all the way from food to drugs, cause bad side effects. Being too much into hobbies estranges loved ones. Wisdom through learning makes the world a lot more interesting. Everything is a fantasy except for what you think. Don't fall for the artificial values of ambition. When you think, be creative and free. Sleep is essential to happiness. To me, happiness is an attitude to life, the conscious active pursuit of inspiration through soulful pursuits counteracted with the search for pleasure. Money can free you to do these things, but too much money and too many possessions complicates your life, not to mention that everyone around you who is less well off will secretly resent you and expect handouts from time to time. Beyond all that, you're a target. Why did they kidnap Lindbergh's baby? Because they thought the old man was rich and famous. I was watching some real-life crime show on TV and they showed some women who got carjacked and shot. When they said the car was some fancy-ass Mercedes-Benz, I snickered to myself, because to me, it's like, what do you expect? You drive around in a Mercedes because you want attention. She got it? Some manager guy robbed the bank he managed and did everything right, except that when he moved to this small town, he bought an expensive Porsche that stuck out like a sore thumb. The local police chief was curious about this guy with this expensive sports car who had no visible means of support. When he was looking through pictures of wanted criminals one day, he spots the guy and gets him. If the guy was driving an old truck, he never would have noticed him. I heard some story on the news about some celebrity movie star who went back to her old neighborhood in New York driving some fancy-ass car. What did she expect when she was flaunting her superiority like that? They trashed her car out of spite for her trying to rub their noses in her superiority/success. It's all in your soul regardless of age. Know your soul, culture it over a lifetime and you win the game. If you think that coloring your hair because you're worth it, or wearing a cute mini skirt, walking through the mall and having all the guys looking at you will bring you happiness, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're looking for external things to give you a boost, much like the has-been sports star or the rock and roller who doesn't fill up auditoriums anymore but is still out there trying to get recognition somehow. You have to have the base to feel good about yourself from within and strive to stay inspired for yourself day by day. Happiness is the formula for great health. Go to the #615.5 section at the library and look at all the books about the mind-body connection, ranging from Barbara Brown's Biofeedback to Norman Cousing's Anatomy of an Illness. Even the book of Proverbs in ancient biblical times talks about the connection between happiness and health. A cheerful heart is a good medicine, but a downcast spirit dries up the bones. A fit person who takes care of themselves is generally much happier than your average guy who eats what he wants, never exercises, works his stress-filled job and drinks on the side to catch a buzz. Religion doesn't work because you're bowing down to a paternalistic deity which will bring you a collective sense of comfort and a connection to other like-minded people, but you still live alone in your head, and a full life is to be free, not to repress your hedonistic side just because your religion says it's wrong. Studies report that people with a lot of money, power over others and a lot of material things aren't necessarily happier than others. Wealth can enhance your happiness if you're happy in the first place, but if you're not, it probably won't help it much unless you get enlightened and start living by soul. The pursuit of wealth can often bring sadness because you develop a mindset where you're never satisfied no matter what. If you get an RV, you will want a boat, then you will want an ATV, and it will never end. If you got a nice 4-bedroom house, you will want a bigger one with a patio and a swimming pool. This capitalist line of thinking breeds sadness because you will never have enough, like Imelda Marcos of Philippines fame. Her 2,000 pair of shoes showed that she hoarded more than she needed, which meant there was something missing in her soul to be like that. One common thread of happy people is that they live simple lives, doing those few activities they like to do and minimizing the rest, mainly the pressure that goes with being successful within society, often a high-pressure job, the commute to work every day, trying to do too much, not doing what you inherently love to do, etc. Happy people are generally optimistic and look at life as a never-ending adventure where they're doing what they were meant to do and also living in a loving house with a loving family, which is what a lot of people say they want as part of the formula for happiness, to be surrounded by a loving family, although some don't because they see it as a burden. Happiness is the absence of stress with peace of mind, which is all relative. Some guy from some oppressed third world country who goes to a free country and works 50 hours a week at a car wash for a low wage is probably happy because his level of peace and luxury has gone way up relative to his former life, but most Americans would think that this demeaning and a step down in their level of comfort. A part of the media corporate formula is to show us images of so-called wealthy, glamorous people, present them as the in crowd and make us envious such that we are motivated to work our butts off to achieve this end, even though it may not bring us happiness and is just another illusion, as I already talked about. Wealth is good to free you to do what you want, but all that crap about happy people sashaying down fashion runways having a great old frivolous time is a lie, because true happiness has considerably more substance than some phony glamour scene with cheesy disco background music where everybody is secretly competing with everybody else as to who's the most beautiful, fascinating, stunning, advanced, supernatural, divine and glamorous in the crowd. Conversely, the media can further manipulate us by showing us people in hard times or tragedies which make us feel lucky and blessed. The lesson is to culture a sense of happiness without comparing yourself to others, either higher and mightier or lower and subordinate. Reality can't compete with our fantasies regardless of who you are. Even Solomon, with everything he ever wanted, still found comfort in the only place that really mattered, his mind/consciousness. A part of happiness is to have the temperament to not try so hard, to accept your life as is and accept the fact that you can't have everything you want and never will regardless of what you might do. Simply accept life for what it is right now and count your lucky blessings for the great life you've got. An old doctor once said, if you're not feeling any pain today, you got nothing to complain about. He was an emergency room supervisor in a big city, accustomed to seeing pain and misery around him all the time through the endless revolving door of new patients coming in. The morale is to accept yourself as is and be happy with your lot in life, whatever it may be. Whether you're fat, thin, beautiful, ugly, rich, or poor, accept yourself, think highly of yourself, try to live a noble life, and you will have some measure of happiness in it. Happy people believe in themselves and pursue their own lives, believing they alone are responsible for their destinies, not the conditions around them nor the opinions of people, either good or bad. They know they're all right within themselves and pursuing the right course of action for themselves without needing the world out there to validate them. Ben Franklin said, peace and work give us happiness, not wealth and opulence, so it comes down to what we do with ourselves day after day. We have to develop a flow about our lives such that we inherently know we're doing our soul's work, what we were created to do, and feeling great about it. The conventional dogma about happiness generally states that happy people are generally monogamous people in a marriage with children in what is traditionally known as a family, who worship at the local religious place and have some faith in a higher supreme being, which I can't attest to because I'm basically a free spirit not particularly interested in monogamy nor religion, but feel I'm as happy as any human could be with respect to what I've got. I could use more money to free me from the burden of worrying about it, but beyond that, I feel no need to acquire a family or religion to enhance my happiness. If I had money, I would enhance my pursuit of hedonism, transitory pleasurable experiences which would make me happier than I am now, but all in all, I feel pretty happy for a guy with not a lot of money and no status in the so-called real world. I'm satisfied living as great a life as I can in the present moment without pondering where my eternal soul will end up. I will deal with it when it happens if, in fact, there is life after death. I got reasonably good karma anyway. I will go where the light is if there is such a thing. Happiness 4. You either make yourself miserable or make yourself strong. The amount of work is the same. It all comes down to the power in your mind and the attitude with which you choose to travel. ZT, Warrior for a Better Life. Epictetus, the ancient Greek philosopher, said happiness is a simple life with peace of mind. Plato said happiness is a moral code and virtuous attitude to life, in essence, the conscious pursuit of wisdom throughout. The spectrum of philosophical thought regarding happiness throughout history has ranged the spectrum like living for truth, living for pleasure, living in the moment, living for your evil whims but being intelligent enough to get away with it, living in solitude to create things, and the list goes on. The ideas as varied as there are people in the world, but there are some constants which I believe I've found. Hedonism is fine but by itself empty because you need a sense of exertion and purpose, which I believe comes through inspired noble soulful pursuits. The same goes for love and intimacy, good as one part of life but not enough to distract you from playing your own game, being true to yourself. Happiness is a condition within you. It doesn't come from how you present yourself to the world or how others see you. In fact, most people lie to themselves about how happy they are and put on a phony face for the world because it's cool to appear happy and uncool to appear as you probably really are, which is mundane and slightly depressed, which is what surveys would have us believe most people are. How can anybody be happy working a full-time job, responsible for several mouths to feed? This is the societal paradigm for the upstanding citizen, but it seems kinda dull or restricting to me. If you consciously seek happiness, you won't find it. If you forget the search and simply live to enjoy your life as it happens, you will be happy in the course of the ordinary events of the day. Happiness is not a momentary mood, it's how you feel most of the time in unguarded moments away from the rest of humanity. This is the real you, not that jovial face you put on acting like a jokester around your buds. This could be an act you put on to try to mask your true inner feelings. They say that a lot of comedians are depressed. The comedy is a way to deal with sadness they feel. Happiness is feeling good about yourself because of who you are and what you do day by day. Every experience, no matter how great, is transient, so the game of life is to find what keeps you inspired, relaxed, and euphoric, and keep repeating these things day after day. Happiness is living in the moment whilst going in positive motions with your visions and dreams. Happiness is inner peace along with enough money to live comfortably. The secret to happiness is to face the fact that the world is horrible and ignore it. Happiness is all in the mind regardless of anything that happens outside of you. Happiness comes from a focus on inner worth and inner contentment attained through self-acceptance and inspired action over anything else, even a need for love and the entire material world. Happiness comes from self-knowledge and self-love. Happiness is a deep feeling within, not something you get through frivolous pursuits. With just your mind and your basic material needs met, you can be happy by focusing on living a great life and not fretting too much about the so-called real world. You have to make a conscious decision to live your consciousness as a cool, peaceful, fun, fascinating journey all the time. There's an art to this happy state of mind. You have to minimize everything else and say, as long as I live for my soul and feel it, I will be alright minute by minute, day by day. To me, happiness is peace and calmness, living in my free thoughts, consciously living in that easy breezy groove I always strive for, analyzing my life as I go along, my inspiration and youthful spark intact, my material needs met through my own hard work, and a few warm bodies around loving me and me them, ideally both pets and people, with both sensuous love and intimate love in there. Happiness is to feel at peace within and at peace with the world, to love it, and respect other people. Happiness is an easygoing approach to life, to not take anything too seriously, to deal with my problems quickly and let them roll off my back as quickly as I can. It's all in the mind, that's where you live. You have to live in a romantic sensuous fantasy regardless of where you are or what you do. Happiness 5. The bulk of happiness comes from one thing. I'm happy when I'm inspired and purposeful, sad when I brood and get cynical. This fine line changes all the time. I get inspired for a while, then sit around and feel like I'm losing myself, so I have to get my inspiration, therefore my happiness, back through inspired soulful action. Otherwise I'd just stay in that mundane feeling forever like most people do, but I fight it with inspired action. There ain't no magical frivolous happyland anywhere on the planet unless you shell out the bucks to stay at an all-inclusive resort, go on an all-inclusive cruise, or go to Disneyland several times a week. Everywhere else is dog-eat-dog, people trying to survive and get ahead any way they can. The powers that be show us the fruits of capitalism and imply that we should work very hard to strive for these things because they want to sell things and make money, while keeping people in this deficient mindset saying to themselves that success, that's what I need to make me happy, so I will destroy my life working for these illusions. I say cool it, don't let them mess with you like this. Be real. I've been there, done that everywhere that matters. There ain't no streets paved with gold anywhere where everybody's prancing around all happy like as friends. That's a media illusion. If you go to some place like a ritzy party, a fashion show, or a movie premiere, everybody's trying to either show off how uppity they are to get their egos stroked, or get something out of somebody else like drugs, sex, connections, recognition, compliments, or money. If you go to some big party spot like Ibiza or Miami during spring break, there's still the status games, the rift between the rich and the poor, everybody competing with each other to find the best guy or best chick they can for either love or sex. The guys are trying to be the coolest and most athletic in the bunch. The girls are trying to be the prettiest. The supposedly cool ones are worried lest somebody more cool topple them. It's pretense. There's no peace there. Everybody wants to get ahead or be cooler than the next guy. Everything's fair weather. As long as you got the cash, they will be fair weather friends. Once it's gone, you're gone. Happiness comes from a genuine love of life, an acceptance of yourself, and a knowledge that your reality is wholly inside your head. You always end up standing on your own. Your own reality is all you have. You could win the Olympic gold medal, the Nobel Prize, and the Academy Award all in the same day, but the next morning when you lift your head off the pillow, it's just you there by yourself, and it's a new day. It's your job to find happiness on that day and every other day after that. You have to have the sense to be comfortable with yourself by yourself without other people around. You shouldn't concern yourself with the gossip of anybody's life but your own. You don't know anything about other people's lives, so you shouldn't judge or compare yourself to them. Plus the fact that beyond the basics, everybody is stuck in their own minds, therefore happiness can only go so high qualitatively for any human being, so you have all the tools within yourself to reach the highs every day if you really want to. Happiness comes softly by doing things you enjoy and not searching for it. Happiness comes from self-reliance. It's nice to love and be loved, but happiness is a function outside of these things, totally dependent on your mind. As I already said, even in love, happiness is up to you because you have to give as an active participant in order to partake of it. Sharing ourselves is nice, but the core of happiness comes from a sense of inner peace resulting from the self-mastery to become the person you want to be. Happiness 6. I presume that the path of life is towards happiness regardless of what your particular conception is. Happiness is not a commodity that you're necessarily born with, although genetics probably plays a role in it. It's your job to cultivate a sense of happiness in your life. It's not a passive thing. Happiness takes vigilance and action. You have to choose to be happy, and sometimes it may not be easy because the bottom line, cold fact is that we live in a sad, somber world. Happiness to me is an easy feeling I have most of the time because I'm enjoying my life and taking positive action somehow. I have health, vitality, and peace. Lighten up. Life ain't that deep. Most people are somber because that's the way of the world and the way of the mental health fields, to focus on the negatives. Life is meant for happiness. You get there by being simple, living for joy, looking for it and creating it your own life. Don't get too deep and read all their stupid books about stupid syndromes and all that other garbage. In the past, people didn't have these phony afflictions to blame their pathetic lives on. Keep it simple, clean your mind out of all the crap, then go out and live your life. Make it happen and the happiness should come. They pummel the negative so-called news at us every hour on the hour. This is wrong for a healthy state of mind. You may say that you want to be aware of things, but negative things always have a negative effect. I prefer not to watch the news, nor do I watch most fictional TV shows. Garbage into your brain produces garbage out of your brain, so the lesson is that in order to be happy, you have to choose to be happy and live happily, and the way you do that is that you think happy, make your living space happy, and create happy rituals that keep you centered. I'm an atheist, but the reason I watch religious TV is that that's one of the few places on TV where people are trying to be positive. Your happiness is how you feel all the minutes of the waking day, therefore happiness is a state of mind. All that really matters is the thinking process that's going on in your brain, which is distinct and separate from all material things and from all other people. Therefore, your happiness is all up to you, regardless of material possessions or what people say and think about you. This is a very important lesson. Too many people get bogged down with trying to find happiness through material things and / or through other people, trying to get other people to admire them and give them compliments. You will never find true happiness pursuing either of these paths. Thinking happily, living in a happy living space, and creating a centering ritual are all interrelated to make you a totally happy person. Make a conscious effort to feel happy, free, and unfazed by the regular crap of life. You need some kind of daily habit or ritual to get you away from everything to be by yourself so that you can center yourself. This could be something like walking your dog, exercising, listening to music, or sitting around in peace. Control of the body is a necessary facet of true happiness. You must do some kind of physical activity, even if it's mild, like dancing or walking. Happiness doesn't come from attaining a goal. So many athletes and so-called celebrities have crashed after they won the gold medal or became a star or whatever because they thought it would bring them happiness, but it didn't. I read a story about some diver who won a gold medal at the Olympics and thought it would bring him the happiness and the money he craved, but when it didn't, he found himself spiraling down an empty hole of near suicidal proportions. The gold medal after the fact was just a hunk of metal, nothing more, nothing less. Buddhists claim that happiness is directly related to a feeling of inner peace compounded with true compassion for the world in all its aspects. To them, happiness comes from facing suffering, conquering it, and being a light to the world. There's too much self-created suffering out there, like people wallowing in self-pity. You must deal with your problems and move on. Don't be overly sensitive about life. Just deal and move on. Life is not fair, that's a fact. Take your licks, keep your mouth shut, and remember that you're still much better off than millions just by virtue of living in an industrialized country. Don't give in to all this trivial stuff. Live for soul and aesthetics, and that's it. You gotta have the right attitude, and I don't give a damn attitude. Just keep moving. Turn negatives into positives by your attitude. See it all as a learning experience of life. Your mind must have rose-colored glasses in order to see the positive in everything. Deal with the negatives, but don't dwell on them. Learn from your pain, then move on. Rose-colored glasses are fine to deal with life, but don't live in delusion. Stay in the real world. Buddhists say the only way to deal with all the negativity in the world is via tolerance and patience. In other words, stay cool no matter what. Don't dwell on what you can't control. Just stay cool and let it all wash away into nothingness as you live your life and go for happiness 1 minute at a time. If a problem has a solution, do it and don't worry. If a problem doesn't have a solution, it's out of your control, so forget about it. Honesty with yourself is the beginning of happiness. The next step is to heal your hurts, then get on with going for the highs in life and getting spiritually peaceful. Happiness is doing the things that memories are made of: a nice day with your family or friends, a moment in time when you expended yourself fully to be more than you thought you could go, lazy hazy days having fun on a summer's day, whatever your version of fun may be. In the end, I believe that love, sex, creative expression, physical activity, sensual pleasures, peace, and the conscious search for inspiration are the most important things in life. You have to live for the beauty of experience, that's what you were put on this earth for. You're always a work in progress. It never ends. There will always be problems, crises, and setbacks, but the trick is to always bounce back no matter what. Just find what makes you tick in your deepest core and go with it for the rest of your life. That's where the power is. Pursue life as though you have a unique purpose with a clear intention. This should give you the intuition to live your life in a harmonious flow, and from there, you should be unfettered and free, living for your own standards. Happiness 7. Happiness is a willingness to be what you feel inside. To be happy is to be where you are, enjoying the experience for the experience itself, with the hope, in some cases, that your efforts will lead to a brighter future for you and others, but often it's just the experience in the moment itself that you must relish solely for its own sake in order to win the game of life. Happiness is living peacefully, stable inside above the swings of your passions and material fortunes or misfortunes. It's an acceptance of your life, gratitude for the simple pleasures and the pursuit of harmony within yourself to be a virtuous, noble person. John Stuart Mill said, "It's better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a pig satisfied," meaning to me that it's better to be your noble self and strive for what you believe in than sell out to all the cheap thrill distractions of the world, work a dull job, have your material comforts, but deep down you don't feel right about your life, that you're not honoring yourself the way you were meant to. Well-being, which is happiness, is different from the temporary high of a good concert, a good laugh, a good shot of rum. This is the true test. Do you feel good almost all the time through the test of the many days that comprise your life, day after day? It's a state of mind. You have to feel like you're living a worthy life where you're honoring yourself and satisfied with what you're doing, that you're answering the true call of your soul. Western society is geared for materialism, to make you envious of those at the other end of the rainbow who have all the material things and strive to attain that for yourself, because that's the capitalist ideal of happiness, but you often end up destroying yourself getting there because material things, beyond the middle class basics, do almost nothing for your true happiness, so you have to look for it through other things like living a life such that you do what makes you happy. In our capitalist world, the ideals seem to be love and work, to raise a great family and love what you do, but it doesn't have to be this or this alone. When you have your basic security and material needs met, happiness goes away from the material realm to encompass other things like sensual pleasures, intimate connections, the comfort of religious beliefs, and the pursuit of deep meaning in life. Money takes the role of diminishing returns. A middle-class amount like $50,000 could help our comfort level of happiness out a lot, but a more lavish amount like $1 million won't necessarily give us that much more happiness. Instead of trying too hard, let go, live for the flow within yourself regardless of the outcome in the so-called real world. The problem is we've all been brainwashed to search for such high capitalist-type ambitions in the world, when real happiness is the awareness that you've got your health, you ain't feeling any pain today, you probably got a few friends and people who love you, and you've got the free day to do as you please in a relatively advanced, prosperous country. Hell, you're better off than most of the world now and in past history if only you could slow down enough to take the corporate capitalist blinders off and see life for the essence of the experience that it is. Happiness is freedom, to be free enough to throw off the blinders you've been brainwashed by, to live a life that's natural and real to you, to be real enough to friends and lovers such that you bare your soul to them and they love you all the more for it. Happiness is to have peace in the eye of the storm every time we're metaphorically kicked and beaten up by the forces of the world out there. It's to release the pain from ourselves, let go and move on undaunted no matter what happens, be it the worst tragedy or the funnest time ever. We simply get up the next day and consciously do whatever it takes to keep us perpetually inspired. Happiness is to accept your life, travel lightly, stay young and inspired, and add your little piece of beauty to the world in your own way. Can you be happy without pressuring yourself to achieve some illusory goal, or live without all that voluntary stress you put on yourself by working too hard, having too many kids, too many ambitions, too many self-imposed responsibilities? Can you be a quiet person who's simply there in the presence of his loved ones even when he doesn't love them all that much? Can you accept all your economic hardships and unrealized dreams and keep moving on, inspired about your life? Can you accept instances of bad luck, failing health, and your future death? These are the true tests of the happy person, to overcome all the crap in society and all the negativity of the world, to simply keep going on trying to be inspired and getting some pleasure out of your life. Happiness is not a destination. It's the attitude with which you choose to travel. To live for your soul is to be happy. Happiness always starts at the core from loving your life first. Other people can help you be happy, but it's always you that has to create it, because you're stuck living in your own brain, responsible for your own happiness. Hope is the anchor of the soul, so it's the precursor for all inspiration and strength in life. You do things for a reason, because they will make you a happier, more complete person, and if you can't get there exactly, you make the best of what you have while working on your visions. We seek out fulfillment by buying things and getting sensual thrills, all the way from sex to drugs to jumping out of airplanes, but at the very core of our existence as human beings, all people, except for the most selfish, need to feel meaning in their lives, to feel like they matter somehow, somewhere, sometime to somebody, to feel like their life is worth it in a useful, unique way somehow. Hedonism by itself cannot make you happy, because at the very core, you will still feel unused, that you're not using up your natural potential in a worthy way. Our health and physical strength figure broadly in the quest for happiness, especially for men whose worth in society is partially determined by how strong and virile they look, just like women are supposed to look young and beautiful in order to attract men who will think they will be good mothers. Happiness to me is having lived the entire spectrum of the human experience at a relatively young age, and having gotten through it all with a good understanding of my life that allows me to live peacefully for my inner states day after day, living out inspiration, pleasure, rest, love, and friendship, monitoring myself all the time, contemplating my life, acting on my whims, doing worthy pursuits from my soul, and having the sense to know I'm about as free as I can be without oodles of money that would allow me to create my own fantasy world to excess if I wanted to. So I'm running with my own journey and not so self-indulgent that I'm doing extreme things to satisfy myself while I know half of the world is starving, which leaves me in a good place of balanced karma. I'm enjoying my life, doing something worthy with it while not going to that other extreme side of frivolity, self-indulgence, selfishness, hoarding, or extreme materialism, which I believe causes disharmony in people who engage in these things, because it somehow seems patently ungrateful and disrespectful for the sanctity of life when you engage in trivial excess, while you know that humility and balance are the universal positive human qualities you should strive for. The overwhelming criteria for happiness is that you feel in control of your life, steer your own ship, and make your own decisions. You're the captain of your ship, soul of your destiny. Happy people see a bright future for themselves, love what they do, live in a peaceful balanced flow of work, soulful pursuits, and pleasure, sensuous hedonism, have a few kindred spirit friends and a soulmate lover or two to share it all with. Happy people have some belief in a life after death, usually through some religion which gives them hope and joy that their lives are eternal and going somewhere permanent forever. Happiness 8. On your deathbed, to look back and see a totally hedonistic life would feel empty. To see that you used yourself up in a worthy way would make you feel like you were completing the cycle started by your parents when they created you, that your life mattered somehow. Noble human beings need to feel like they're passing the torch on from their souls. Most want to contribute to the progress of the human race in some way. For many of us, though not all, it's in our nature to do something worthy with our lives. This is one solution to all the emptiness most of us invariably feel. I'm not a corny sap who says that love of humanity is the solution, because I don't believe that it's possible, but I believe that everybody has a soul which houses some manner of spark and inspiration which they can release and express somehow to do something worthy for themselves and for other people, and this is as close to finding fulfillment as I know. Happiness has to be a quality about living that you already have within you. We all have dreams of a better life which take hard work, which is the price to pay for dreams, but I've learned to go easy and not take dreams too hard, especially illusory dreams. I caution you not to take on a dream that's an illusion of the world, because if you do, no matter how successful you get out there, you will still feel empty until you find your true soul. There are plenty of casualties out there with lots of money who've destroyed their bodies and souls to get there. Pure and simple, true happiness is love of life. Life is meant for living, not watching on TV. Life is meant for joy every minute of the waking day, but we have a society that tells us to be level-headed and unemotional, at least out in public. If you smile too much or are too happy, the miserable fools around you won't like it and try to put you in your place. They might even think you're nuts or on drugs, someone off-center, all because you're a happy person, unlike most of the generic folk walking around. Fun and happiness are states of mind. You don't get them by going down a waterslide, going to a fair or a strip joint. You either already have them inside of you or you don't. It's great to go to these places for mild entertainment, but they do little for how I really feel inside. It's up to you. I don't buy into all that biochemical crap about depression. If you want to be happy, you can will it so and make it happen with action, and the biochemistry in your brain will automatically perk up. It's karma. Happiness will reap more happiness in your mind. If you're truly happy, you don't need action all the time. You can be happy just sitting there because you accept everything that happens in life and none of it registers much on any scale whatsoever. You're as stable as a rock. You just accept and live like some old Buddhist monk or some of these old guys you see around who've been to hell and back so many times that nothing much registers anymore. They're as calm as cucumbers because they've seen it all and absolutely nothing will ever faze them, like some of the old guys that have been through World War II and the concentration camps. Life in America is nothing to them. Many of us have mental blocks against striving to be happy and joyful because the price is too great, effort. Although you can be peaceful sitting around, I've only found that I'm ever truly happy if I've expended myself through some kind of soulful action, then sit around and love my life. Some of us are conditioned to associate pleasure with sin, guilt, or forbidden things, so we live our entire lives anxious about letting loose too much. I believe that most people simply take the path of least resistance. It's easier to live a flatline mundane life than strive to develop yourself to be a happy, joyful person. Lethargy is profitable because it keeps people as empty-spirited consumers, always looking for something to relieve their emptiness, anything from psychotherapy to video games to Prozac to pizza to chocolate. Happiness in our society is something like a sin because it implies self-love, which is perfectly normal if you're happy, but our society prefers it if we're not tuned into ourselves and stay distracted on things like job, career, junk food, TV, news, and sports in the media, because they make us dumb generic consumers, prisoners of the almighty brainwashing machine, party to this grand illusion, able to be easily managed and manipulated and profitable because people who are like this spend lots of money trying to get happy, which they invariably can't get through all those cheap trinkets out there. Every year I watch the stupid, phony ritual of watching football games as the supposed sign of what cool men do in our society. I quietly laugh with contempt when I see these phony sports broadcasters on TV acting like they just love that stuff, or anybody I come across who acts like one of these football clones. Stupid, brainwashed clone. I can't think of too much more boring than watching a football game. As long as we keep consuming and watching TV, we will stay in the dark, which is perfectly fine for the powers that be of our capitalist-driven society, who can then sell us more pizzas, aspirin, t-shirts with stupid logos on them, and cranberry juice. They want a dumb Joe who works a functional job, then watches wrestling, football, drinks beer, and orders pizzas, not an enlightened guy who doesn't need all those crappy consumer goods for a thrill. Happiness is the recognition of this phenomena, but not subservience to it. You merely watch it all like a circus and do your own thing through it all. You have your own mind. You don't judge anyone, merely accept everyone as God does, as a respecter of no one, which is good because you treat everyone the same, equally, with no prejudice involved. Happy people try to simplify their lives as much as possible to focus only on those things that they know make them truly happy, without focusing on anything else as much as possible. When they find what makes them happy, they simply live for those things and try to drown everything else out, even the superficial necessities they have to deal with. they deal with them as quickly as possible, then go back to what they enjoy doing. We can only experience one thing at a time, and since we can only process a certain amount of information, it's better for us if we slow down and simplify our lives. Happy people find the flow and rhythm to their lives and go with it, living on intuition all the time. Daily life unfolds in a certain routine for all people regardless of station in life. It goes best if paced. Try to find that rhythm and live with it in peace. If you can arrange circumstances such that you don't have to bust your butt and can work at a relaxed pace doing exactly what you want to do, it's obviously the best way to go. Happiness is how you spend your time doing what you deem important every day of your life. It's doing things because you get a lot of enjoyment out of the experience of doing them. If you find these things, your willpower and motivation will be high because you do for the love of doing them. It's a combination of the time you spend with people, time spent at work, and time spent pursuing what you enjoy in your leisure time. Think it through sometime, determine what you really like doing and focus on that. To me, leisure and work are the same things. Cheap thrills do almost nothing for my permanent state of happiness, but I do them occasionally because it's a part of the spectrum of life. Try to do things because of your natural enthusiasm and curiosity, and tie everything together so that your life is a smooth, easy, beautiful flow of experiences and downtimes. Do what you feel like doing at any particular time. If you want to work, work. If you want to hang out with friends, hang out. If you want to do nothing, do nothing. Go with the flow of your life. Finding what you like and pursuing it on an ongoing basis is the key to your happiness. Although you have to live in the real world of rules and structures, you minimize it by not thinking about it much. Your primary focus is the freedom to explore life. The everyday world shouldn't matter to your true, original self, so the point is that even though you live in this mundane world, you're not of it because you have the ability to transcend it in any of numerous ways, and that's your key to being happy. A happy person is passionate and alive, experiencing life fully. He has fear of the unknown but doesn't let it stop him. He feels the fear, does it anyway, and keeps going on enjoying life and moving towards his purpose at the same time. It's not immersion in one thing, it's a balance of all relevant sectors like your practical needs, your purpose, love and sex, relaxation, and time for trivial pursuits like TV or music, because these things can replenish and inspire the soul. Hard work all the time towards a goal will wear you out. It's always balance. As long as I do enough tough, worthy stuff to feel inspired, I'm alright. It's better than racing like a madman than burning out. Happiness is not necessarily the thrill of victory in front of the crowd, it's you, by yourself, doing something you love. We live in the most advanced society the history of the world has ever known. Why be miserable when we all have the potential to live great lives? Even poor people can live great lives compared to just about everyone in the past, and all those people in poor countries now who have no opportunities nor the infrastructure to get what they want out of the deal. We live in a world that offers us just about anything we might want in the way of material goods for relatively small amounts of money. Everything's here to live great lives if we want to. In all of history, it's only been in the past 30 years or so that we've evolved to have all the consumer goods available that we might ever want to truly enjoy our lives. Yet why, despite all this, do many people live morbid lives of straight-out blandness? In the end, you hopefully have a nice, happy, easygoing person who's taking this life and using it to weave a unique, unitary fabric of beauty, peace, and aesthetics each and every day. Life itself becomes your art form. You're a living, breathing monument to humanity, an original masterpiece of the human race. Your heart is open to the world. You have no inhibitions. You can look at yourself in the mirror or in your mind's eye and know that you're a worthy human being who's doing something worthwhile with his or her life. Happiness 9. Life is what you make it out to be. It's not only the truth, it's we all need to hold close. All of us face challenges and obstacles. Embrace challenges as learning adventures. We worry too much. Let go of perfection or other people's standards. Simply do what makes you feel good. Live the life that you desire. Love your life. Don't fear life. Be thankful. Dance. Surrender to life. Live in the present moment. Live as though it's the last day of your life. Love an animal. Michael-Bonnell.com. Chapter 5. Some happiness inspiration motivation one-liners from the many articles at lifehack.org. Lifehack.org one-liners 1. My happiness grows in proportion to my acceptance and in inverse proportion to my expectations. One must be compassionate to oneself. Remember a happy moment. No more excuses. Choose happiness even during tough times. Get motivated. A life filled with joy. A challenge can be the perfect formula. A life with less clutter leads to a clearer, more grateful mindset. Happiness that occurs independent of attachment. Sun exposure, some fresh air and the peace that comes with it. All paths should ultimately lead to happiness. If you are disloyal once, I'm unlikely to let you back in. Attend a fun event. Be adventurous. Get outside your comfort zone. Be empathetic and understanding. Be kind, patient, and understanding. Be true to yourself. Be cautious. Be brave. Be grateful. Deep breathing increases circulation. Breathe deeply more often. Learning should be a lifelong process. Happiness is not something on the outside. Buy flowers. Choose something that feels easy to do and do it. Clean yourself up, put fresh clothing on. Control is an illusion. Go with flow. Crank up the music and dance. Discover your purpose. Dive into a pursuit that has intrigued or fascinated you. Do this every day. Do what makes you feel good, brings you energy. Do less of what doesn't. Do something just for fun. Don't wait for others to do things. Don't book every minute with activities. Drink water. Each person must look for their own fulfilling answer. Eat well. Your body is a machine and food is your fuel. Reduce the amount of time you spend with people that drain you or leave you feeling exhausted. Hang out with people who feed your soul. Love the life we live. Feed your spirit feeling inspiration. Find your creative outlet. Find a way to move forward. Find a hobby that indulges your interests. Find where your own passions are. Eat real, whole, nutrient-dense food. Avoid processed foods and refined sugars. Focus on what matters. Follow your passions. Get creative. Get outside. Head to the forest, the beach, or take a hike. Lifehack.org one-liners 2. Love is a force for good. You think what you wish to think. Hug your spouse or pet. Hugging boosts your oxytocin levels, the love hormone. I am happy. Take turmeric/curcumin to reduce inflammation. How many hours per day do you watch TV or social media? Find a form of exercising you enjoy. Identify where energy is leaking from your life. Take small steps. Declutter. Do my best. If I lost everything, I would have gratitude and know I'm doing my best. Continue to give when you have nothing. Give back to the world around you. Cook better, try number 641 at the library. Suck it up and work through it. We are not meant to be master multitaskers. Be accepting of all aspects of the self. Instant calm. Care of myself and my body. Keep it simple. Laugh. Learn something new continuously. Listen. Happiness is a way of life. Leave time for leisure. Light a candle, relax and unwind. Listen to your inner voice. Make time to have fun, recover and re-energize. Many of the meaningful things in life are born out of love. Modern life is fraught with addicting distractions like social media. We want to be understood. Find your game. If you see someone's eyes glazing over while speaking, it's a good idea to wrap it up. Lifehack.org One-liners 3. People are afraid of failing so they don't try. Be a team player. Overcome insecurities. Connect with our families. Get happiness from seeing those around me happy. Short breaks from work. Smile. Possibilities are endless, focus on the little things. Self-reflection is reflecting on your life, behavior, and beliefs. Be loving towards yourself and your flaws. Accept everything that has happened. Read a book. Read a magazine. We get the same good hormone hits when we imagine things as when we are doing them. Reward yourself. Find what works for you. Nourish your mind, body, and spirit and thrive. Sharpen your listening skills, process what the other person is saying. Show that you are empathetic and understanding. Any negative feeling is not permanent. Discover purpose, go out and do until you learn about where your passions lie. Spend time in nature. Spend time with those you love. Spend time meditating, praying. Sports, activity, exercise. Stay hydrated. Ditch it when you start throwing in more money over bad money, or when you're wasting your time like an ex-friend of mine promising me things if I helped him until I realized he was a master liar. Don't hide from the way you feel. Understand how you feel. Love, encouragement, and positive energy. Take a nap. Take them as they come. Take a breath, drink a glass of water, speak nicely, grab an apple. Be kind to yourself. Share the beach with some seabirds. Happiness is something you can feel right now. Fight fear, do your best. The key to happiness is a fulfilling life. The complexities and nuances of a good life are your journey. Cultivate acceptance of the self. The meaning of life is its engrossing diversity, mystery, and intangibility. There is no step too small. Be a good communicator. Increase oxygen content. Share your feelings. Eliminate mistrust, doubt. Make room for the unexpected. Gain a deeper perspective of life. When you look good, you feel good. Treat yourself like you would a close friend. Try journaling. Simplify one area of your life. Unpack your baggage. Walk barefoot. Lifehack.org One-liners 4. We are here to grow and evolve. Feel energized and alive. We all have different opinion and points of view. What are some things you like to do? What are things that are not fun for you? What are your dreams? Goals? What are you passionate about? What gets you fired up? What could you do for the rest of your life? Get your body moving. Seek minimization in schedule and life to feel more at ease and less stressed. Dogs, people, beaches, or sunny days. Accept yourself and work towards the best version of you. Take care of yourself to feel good. Push yourself physically, mentally to feel proud, confident, and strong. Get enough sleep. The simple joys of life. Speak freely and openly about your feelings. Buy yourself an ice cream. Try something new. Challenge yourself, reward yourself. Starting point and your goal. Don't fight your emotions. You are a growing person. Feel good about yourself and about the day ahead. Ready to face the world. Listen to your inner voice for fulfillment. Have an inherent desire to learn.